Well, hi everyone, welcome back to Blue Piano Soaps. Ellen here, and today I'm just going to do a short video. I am actually going to make some seashell soap. You can go to the dollar store, and the dollar store sells some really nice bags of white seashells. They have kind of medium-sized seashells, and then they have some smaller seashells. These seashells, even the smaller ones, are big enough that they're not going to go down your drain. You don't have to worry about, as you continue to use the soap, once you get to the sort of seashell part, it's going to clog a drain or anything. These are big enough that you don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to show you, we're going to make some soap, and then we're going to decorate them with these seashells. And they're going to be really, really pretty. We are going to use kind of a Caribbean scent. I will get you the name of that scent in just a minute. But one thing I have to tell you is, if you've watched a couple of videos ago, I told you that my youngest daughter is getting married. We're thrilled about that, and each time I am making a new batch of soap, I am using a small portion of that batch to continue to make her soap favors. And if you didn't watch that video, you'll need to go back and check it out. But these are her favors for her wedding, and I made this rather larger one, and then I made these smaller little like 1-inch cubes, and we were debating which to use, and we decided to go with the 3 smaller cubes. She likes those better. This is how we are packaging them. So I don't know, again, if you've had a chance to see that video, but this is how we're packaging them. If we were going to do the larger cube, we were going to package them like in a clear favor box like this, but my daughter tends to be the different one. Yep, and she decided she wanted something a little different. She wanted to go with the 3 cubes. So I only say that to you because you're going to see me fill up these silicone molds with a little bit of my batter, and that's why, because like I said, each soap that I am making, I am filling 2 containers of these soaps, silicone mold soaps, for her favors. So, okay, explain that to you. Now, let's get going. We are going to scent our soap with Crafter's Choice Coastal Cottage Fragrance Oil. I've used it before. It's a really light, delicate scent, but it smells so good. It's a good beachy scent. We are also going to use my new favorite colorants for soaps. We're going to use the Nurture Soap Neon Blue. This particular new set from Nurture Soap, these neon colors, fabulous. I love them. They're so vibrant, they're so colorful. A little goes a really long way. So we're going to do that. And then I think we're also going to make some that are going to be pearly white. This is Brambleberry's Super Pearly White Mica. I might do 1 tray in the blue and 1 tray in the white. And yep, you guessed it, everyone. My mic started making a funny noise at this part in the video. I don't know what is up with it. I have ordered a new one from Amazon, and I'm waiting for it to come in. But anyway, I'm going to have to voice over a small portion of this, and then the audio comes back to normal. But I think at this point I'm just discussing those colors that I really like from Nurture's soap. Now I'm stating that in this container here, videos shorter. I'm trying not to talk as much. I promised you a couple of videos ago that I was going to do that. I'm also going to try out these new gloves, and I know for a fact that somebody is going to comment below, don't. I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to delete that comment, so don't bother. I know these are not the best of gloves. I know they're not super, they're not just the nice rubbery kind of gloves. But guys, I have the hardest time with with those rubbery gloves. I think it's because my hands are big, and I just have a really hard time. I hate those gloves, and so I am going to try and use these just kind of cheaper gloves, but for me, I can put them on and take them off really easily, throw them out, get a new pair. The other ones are a little, harder to get on and off. So let's begin. So in my clear container here, I have my base oils, which have already been melted. I have 12 ounces of sustainable palm, 12 ounces of coconut oil, 12 ounces of olive oil, and to that batter I am going to add some kaolin clay, some deodorized cocoa butter, and some shea butter. And I usually go anywhere between an ounce. I use probably, I want to say, 2 tablespoons of kaolin clay, 2 tablespoons of goat's milk powder, and then I use 1 ounce of shea butter, 1 ounce of cocoa butter. I also use 2 ounces castor oil and 2 ounces of sweet almond oil. The castor oil and the almond oil is already in my container. Here, what I like to do is I like to cut the brambleberry. Okay guys, sorry, but audio problems again. What I'm saying here is that lately I really like to cut the brambleberry microwavable and boilable bags, that they're coconut oil and they're sustainable palm oil. A lot of the base oils that brambleberry sells comes in these boilable bags, and they're boilable, they're microwavable. I like to cut the bag in half, and then I like to reuse that bag to melt down some of my hard ingredients like the kaolin clay, the goat's milk powder. I mix that in that boilable bag with my castor oil and my sweet almond oil. So that had melted, and I had combined that, and I went ahead and I poured that into my base oils. I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to give those base oils, the sweet almond oil, the castor oil, and those butters that I melted, and the clays that I melted, and the goat's milk powder that I melted, I'm now going to give that a mix before I add my lye water. Always a good idea to mix your batter before you add the lye water, because once you add the lye water, you get to trace pretty quickly, and you really do not have time to mix your ingredients well. So I like to go ahead and mix those ingredients before I add my lye water. So here I am, I'm just mixing the ingredients. You can tell that that kaolin clay has really lightened that batter up a little bit. Let's see, next I should be now adding my lye water. I always strain my lye water. I add my titanium dioxide if I'm going to add it to a batter. I didn't to this particular batter, but if I'm going to add it to a batter, I add it to my titanium dioxide. Also in that lye water there, I added 3 tablespoons of sodium lactate. So there you went ahead, you saw me strain the lye, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this all to trace. So you can see that this quickly went to light trace, which is what I was going for. We want this to be extremely pourable, so we do not want this to thicken up. You really never want your batter to thicken up, so I don't even know why I'm saying that, but I guess my point is I don't want thick trace. I want very thin trace. I've gone ahead, I've mixed it, it's thin trace right there. We are ready to go at this point. Okay, so I went ahead and I filled some of those silicone molds of my daughter's wedding favors. Every time I'm making soap, I am trying to use some of the batter to make some of her wedding favor soaps because I have to make a lot of them. At this point now I'm ready to move on to the actual 2 sets of soaps that we're making, and I have added fragrance oil to the one batter. And in that batter, I believe this is the one that we are going to put the white sparkle mica from Brambleberry in it. If I haven't done that already, I'm probably about to do it. I also added the fragrance oil. It was Asian pear mixed with a little bit of Brambleberry's honeysuckle. The Asian pear was from Nature's Garden. So I went ahead there, you can see I added the white sparkle mica, and at this point I am feeling like the color really didn't change much at all, but you'll see that I noticed later on that you really could see the sparkle mica in it, and I actually was really happy with the way that color turned out. So I'm going to be using these white Crafter's Choice round molds, which I absolutely love. They've become one of my absolute favorite molds. Spraying a little alcohol in there, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour the batter. And one thing I can tell you is you really have to pound your mold or tap your mold on your table. And here I have made a mistake. I normally have a tray of some sort under each one of my molds, and I find that that's easier to tap the mold in on the table. It's so important that you do that, because if you don't do that, you tend to get some bubbles, or it just seems like the batter doesn't really adhere well to the bottom of the mold, and you get some chipping or crumbling at the bottom. You really have to tap those molds on your table. I used to see people do that when I started making soap, and I used to think, oh my gosh, what's the big deal? But that is so important. And here I did make a mistake. I didn't have a tray to put this under. It's a lot easier and a lot better to tap your mold if you put your mold on a tray. So this soap is okay. There you go. I'm seeing my mistake there. I grabbed the tray, I put the mold on top of the tray, and that made it a lot easier to tap. I believe all I want to do with this soap for the moment is take a chopstick and probably swirl the top a little bit. Sometimes people think that it's kind of pointless to do that, but I'm here to tell you it's not pointless. It does make a nice sort of design, very subtle but noticeable design in your soap when you go ahead and you take that chopstick and you kind of make swirls. I just love it. I love that mold, and I love making the swirls. I will go ahead and I will add the seashells to this, but I believe the soap is a little too wet, and I'm concerned at this point about putting the seashells in too soon. They may drown in the soap batter, and so I think I'm going to move on to fitting the second mold with the soap, which is going to be the blue soap. And the blue soap, I'm using that Nurture's Soap Supplies neon set of colors, and I can tell you I just absolutely love that set of colors. They're so sharp, so vibrant. They're true to what you see in the container, like that blue you see there. It's just such a nice, vibrant color. I love those micas. I will definitely be ordering more of those. You do not have to use a lot. Now I chose to go ahead and disperse that mica in oil first, but I'm thinking that I probably didn't even have to. That's just how good that mica is. But I'm going to go ahead and stir that up. It's just an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous blue. I just love it. Like I said, a little goes a long way. And it is, for the amount that I put in there, the blue is a fairly light blue. Um, Not real darker than a baby blue, but not quite a royal blue. So just to kind of give you some idea, I'm going ahead and I'm putting the fragrance oil in at that point, which again is Asian pear mixed with a little bit of honeysuckle. I'm going to go ahead and whisk that up. With the stick blender, I'm sorry that you don't see it. I really have to get better with the camera angles. I think at some point I realized that you can't see it. There you go. But it's just a beautiful blue. The soap behaved very well. No acceleration, no ricing. So I'm using these. These are the cubes that I had gotten for my daughter's soap favors. I had given her the choice of either doing one larger cube of soap or doing the 3 mini cubes of soap. She went with the 3 mini cubes. Okay, so my camera stopped. I'm not sure exactly where it stopped, but it did stop on me. What I was saying was I was really tapping the mold because I was noticing that the soap was starting to accelerate a little bit, and so you could see it was not as easily pourable as the first set of soap that we poured. Now again, could be just time lapse, time has gone by. It could be the fragrance oil, maybe I put too much in there. It could be the colorant, multiple reasons, or like I said, or it could just be just simply time. That time has gone by. Anyway, I think we're going to be okay though. See, this is definitely hardening up, but that's okay. We're going to make these little squigglies in here because they come out really pretty. There we go. Really pretty. The soap has accelerated in here, I can tell you right now. It seems so ridiculous, but that helps so much when you do that, to fill the nooks and crannies. Okay. Really pretty. So I hope everyone is staying well and safe, because the swirling is really pretty on the soap. There we go, so pretty. Really pretty, there we go. And we want to go ahead and put our seashells in. And so, for the larger ones, for these larger round ones, I want to go ahead and just put I'm taking the gloves off, guys. Taking the gloves off. Cannot do the decorating with the gloves on. So for these larger ones, I want to just go ahead and just put a seashell right there in the middle. Like that. Kind of try to put them at an angle. Like that. Like that. You can hear the kids in the background, although they're not kids anymore, they're adults. But they're watching Star Wars with my husband. And I can hear all the crazy Star Wars music and special effects. Okay, and then for these, so here we have the ones with the bigger shells, and here we want to put the smaller shells. And I think I want to kind of put them to the side. I think they look prettier. I'll come closer to the camera so you can see what I'm doing here. Just like that. Oh my gosh, the Star Wars music is so loud. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can sure hear it. My husband did like a theater room in the basement, and my soap studio is in the basement, and I can definitely hear it. No, that's too much. Just one. Okay, so let me show you. So that I'll come closer. So there it is with the shells put in. And of course we're not going to leave it like that. We're still going to make it even prettier. Okay. Let me go ahead and spray with some alcohol. And I want to take my sugar pearls, which I love, and I want to put a few pearls on the soap. I think that makes it look
she's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her my heart covered as a gift, and hope that you'll take it into her side.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So I just want to show you how these soaps turned out, and I want to show you how I am going to wrap them. The soaps turned out great, although I am always honest with you guys. The ones, the squares, the cubes, the batter was a little bit soft. It didn't pour as nicely into the mold as I would have liked. And I had to actually trim a little bit of the ends of the soap because there were some, there just wasn't like a really smooth side to some of them. And you can even see this one is a perfect example. This is an example of when something does not go as liquidy into the mold as you would like, and it just doesn't hold the shape of the mold. Now, someone is going to comment, and someone can also say, no, that's a result of my being impatient and not waiting longer to take the soap out of the mold. Which they may not completely be wrong, but I waited longer than usual to take them out because I sensed that they were a little soft in the mold. I think even had I waited even longer, I think I still would have had the issue with this particular batter. Voiceover time again, guys. Sorry. First off, I want to apologize too because I am noticing that the camera is not super focused. It's not real clear. But anyway, what I was discussing here is that not every single batter always comes out perfect. When it got to be the time to pour this blue soap, I could already tell that the batter was kind of accelerating a little bit. At least it would have been okay in a loaf mold, but not for small individual cavity molds. It needed to be more liquidy than it was. And so I'm just explaining here that, the soap on the bottom, there were some parts to the sides of the soap and the bottom of the soap that were a little more crumbly, not exactly perfect as I would have liked them. It's also, it could have also been that, I don't know, I should have waited longer to take them out of the mold, but as I think I already said, I waited longer than usual. The round soap came out perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Of course, I poured that first. So again, that's when we discuss, the issues of time and how it's wonderful if you make a batter where you have a ton of time to work with it, but sometimes you just don't always get that luxury. And I think I'm kind of saying here that, soap is just not always, it's just not always 100% perfect, and you really should give yourself some grace. I watch a YouTuber, it's Olivia's Romantic Home. If you get a chance, type that in your search engine on YouTube and watch her DIY videos. I just absolutely adore her. And, one of her favorite sayings is you really need to give yourself grace. So, she says that when you're doing DIY projects, not all of them come out perfect, and that's okay. And I like to say that and to really encourage you to believe that too. Not every single soap comes out perfect every single time. What you're going to see here in a minute is my pulling out my cheese slicer, is what I call it. I found this in my cabinet when I went to go get my actual loaf cutter, and I used this cheese slicer to actually make a very thin slice on those blue soaps where I felt some of the outer parts were a little crumbly. I used that cheese slicer to make some smooth edges on those cubes, and I just wanted to take it out and show it to you because it's just another reminder that you don't have to have the biggest and the best equipment to begin to make soap and to have a love for making soap. The cheese slicer was all I could afford at the time, and that's what I used, and it worked great. And quite frankly, it still works great. It worked great to make those thin slices on that blue soap, and it made it very the edges very smooth, and it kind of saved the soap. So that's just kind of a little cute tidbit I added here for you. I wanted you to see my original slicer. I think I paid $9.99 for it on Amazon. It works perfectly fine. So I just wanted to show you that. But anyway, I'm just showing you here that the round soaps came out perfect. There was no crumbling. They came out of the mold great. They were very smooth. Overall, I think the soaps are beautiful. I think they're going to be really good sellers. They smell great. I'm going to show you now how I went ahead and wrapped them. So the way I went ahead and wrapped them is I used actual seashells to hold soaps. And I'm showing you the round one first. It's just a flat seashell that I used. You can purchase them off of Amazon. They are very inexpensive. You can sometimes find them at the dollar store. It's my seashell. It's a seashell with my label placed on the back in a clear cellophane bag. Those are the seashells. You can see them there. They're very inexpensive. I think you can get like 25 for, you know, under $10, so they come out to be less than 50 cents. And what's really nice about them is the way the soap lays in them. You're actually giving people almost a soap dish. It's just a really cute combination, and I think I go on to show you one that is not wrapped in the cellophane bag, and you can see that, you know, the soap just lays really nicely in it. And again, it's like you've given someone a soap dish. And so it's such an inexpensive way to wrap the soap that I think will make it a bestseller. And this could even be a wedding shower. My sister-in-law got married in Florida, and I did wedding showers for her, and I did kind of a variation of this using the seashells as like a soap dish. And so I think this is a great idea and very inexpensive packaging. And I used some raffia with it as well. Now I was running out of the raffia, but you can get that at the dollar store. You can also sometimes find the shells at the dollar store. This particular one here, the smaller soap, the cube, I think if you kind of will see that the size of the shell is much smaller, and those I have seen those at the dollar store. You can get a huge bag of those at the dollar store. So once again, it's I didn't have any more of these flat ones, but because of this pandemic, I'm really trying to use what I have in the house. So I'm going to have to use kind of a more scooped seashell, and I don't know that it's going to work as well. You can kind of see there that it doesn't. This one here was flatter, but again, trying to go, you know, with what I have, but you're giving people a little soap dish that they can keep their soap in. I think they're going to be really popular, and so let's go ahead and wrap. Let's do the larger one first. All I did for this is I took one of my clear cellophane bags. It's hard to see because it's so clear. I went ahead, I took the round soap, I laid it in the shell. I went ahead, I opened the bag, I inserted, this is how easy this is, you guys. I inserted the soap in the Seashell Soap dish, just like that. And then I am out of the ribbon I used for the sample, so I'm going to use this other pretty blue ribbon. And all you're going to do is you're just going to tie it. Let me put it in front of me here. You're just now going to tie it really tight. That's a key, is you have to tie it really tight.